Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk about what happened this week and discuss how my feeling is about it. I'm not a very emotional person, and I don't like, excuse me, I don't want my emotions to cloud my judgment. And I'll try to explain what's going on. There was a protest in Berkeley, and things happened came out and how the media is reporting it. Of course, I don't believe what the media has to say, and I've seen a lot of other things. And most of you who watch this channel know that I'm quote unquote a supporter of the alt-right. However, what I believe of the alt-right is the intended usage of it, basically to defend white identity, I guess, or European heritage. So, last 3 or 4 months ago, we had an issue in Berkeley when Milo Yiannopoulos wanted to talk there. The Antifa and people that support that type of movement, or just people trying to get on TV, caused a ruckus. People got hit, girls got pepper sprayed, guys got hurt. So eventually, the alt-right decided that they're going to be, whenever the next protests are, they're going to be there, or they're going to have their own protest, and they're going to make sure that they're to defend their right to speech, which of course everybody should be able to do that. But I had to say that there was something that kind of hurt me, or how I felt a little about what was going on. And like I said, I support the movement. Lauren Southern, who was there, I'll get to her a little bit later and why I think this kind of became what it became, and try to examine why I still feel this way, if it's my white guilt, or maybe there's something more to it, and maybe I'm right about thinking what I'm thinking. So after the Milo Yiannopoulos thing, and there was something that happened on a beach somewhere in California, and there was this stick man came up, and he became famous, became a meme on YouTube and across the country. And pretty much in the Antifa already knows who he is. So he was a marked man, and he got arrested at Berkeley. So people on the alt-right are people that think they're the new right. Maybe they're not alt-right. They don't believe in European heritage or white identity or anything, but they're just the new right. They wanted to have their own protest in Berkeley. Of course, Antifa said they're going to do something about it, so they were there, and there was a fight and all that stuff. And we saw some images of somebody who is an alt-right person, Nathan Domingo, hitting a female. And personally, I've talked in this channel many times about, if you want equal rights, then don't act like a man when you're in a protest and you want to act like you can hit somebody. And we find out on her Facebook that she said she was going to go and skin some Nazis or hit them. Now, personally, I'm not a Nazi. I don't support National Socialism. There are a couple people that I follow on Twitter who would consider themselves National Socialists. Maybe in a different type of form it might be good, but I don't think it's possible. I don't think any real socialism could actually work anywhere, and I don't think it's ever been proven. I don't think that, for all his faults, I don't think that Hitler was really socialist. He was authoritarian, but he had some socialist mind thoughts like we have in this country. We have socialism in certain areas. So when I was seeing this stuff, I was like, is this really a protest? Is this something that I should be proud of? Because apparently they were very proud of it. So when I see after the battle in Berkeley that they're at a pub somewhere celebrating like they actually did something, and is this like maybe the protests are not like the protests in the civil rights era where people died, or the veterans that marched on Capitol Hill 80 years or 90 years ago after the First World War, trying to get some paid benefit, hundreds of thousands of people. Of course, we have to understand that Antifa and the alt-right are very small groups. So are they just virtual signaling themselves to get attention? And when I'm seeing these not yet. Anywhere you go now, everybody has their phone out there, so everybody's taking video of it. But that's all I see is like they're just trying to get on the video, and everybody's showing their, before they do anything, they got to have their phone out doing something. Everybody's like bystanders, and 5 or 6 people are fighting, maybe 10 or 15 on either sides, and the rest of them have phones, and they're shooting like a movie or something like that, so they can put it on YouTube, so they can get more hits on their YouTube channel. And that gives me back to Lauren Southern. Now, I like her a lot. I do. I think we need young conservative women. Of course, she says she's a man. That's another funny thing. You can go to her channel and you can find out what that's all about. I just don't think this is what the alt-right should be doing. Do we need to get our message out there? I think we have that. I think we have YouTube channels. I think that we have other areas that can get it out. Certainly we should have places where we should be able to talk. And if they get shut down, we should do something about it. We should defend people if you need to, through violence. But all we're going to be looked at is as a fringe type of movement that will never become mainstream, because if we are at the same level as Antifa, who even the left doesn't really recognize them, they may want them there. People like George Soros might want it there to move the movement so far to the left. And we've talked about this on my channel before about where that all is coming from and who's really behind all that. So here I am watching this, and I feel this pain in my stomach, that thing, and I've had it forever, and I kind of shedded a lot of that because it was this white guilt thing that I had for being a liberal and saying it's always my fault, or I got to help as much as I can people that are not taken care of. What you understand now as marginalized people, which is basically everybody, even women are considered marginalized, if you believe that or not. But if you're a feminist, you believe that all women are marginalized as well, which is shocking because they're the most privileged people on earth. But here it is. I had that same type of feeling, so I was like, was I seeing this the wrong way, or was there something more here? And as I am, I'm going to call out things when I see things, and I could be wrong, absolutely could be wrong. But it looked like this was just attention whoring that was going on with us. And as much as I like Lauren Southern, and as much as I like Nathan Domingo and Richard Spencer, and I believe in saving the white race or the European heritage, I'm not really sure that some of the other people in the alt-right would be doing this. There was a nice video that I saw from Nathan Drake, and I'll leave it below. And it was he does this thing where he does illustrations while somebody's doing something or talking about a subject, and he just writes it out like almost like a cartoon, but in his own way. And he had that Kai T, the black libertarian, and he's considered what he thinks he's in the alt-right, but I don't really believes all the way to that side. But he understands why white people should be proud of their culture, their race, or whatever. And he talked about the civil rights and how that was not really a net plus for black Americans. Because before that happened in the black community, and this is something I recognized when I was younger, I lived in a very predominant black area, and most people there had families, and they pretty much competed against other white people, for jobs and everything like that. And there was this thing inside the black community that says, well, I don't care if they're not going to give us what we want, we're going to still go ahead and do it. And they had the very strong mother in the house, and he had the very strong father who's been through all this shit. The people that actually went through real racism, people that maybe have fought in the war with other white people, and understood that as a culture, as a white culture, a Western culture, that we can actually assimilate together and have the values of Western culture and values. Because I'm not somebody on the alt-right that believes that white people cannot live with black people. I think that's bullshit. We can. And there was a good part in this country that we had that we almost had this is before 1965 and the immigration stuff, and all people who came from Mexico and everything else came into this country and took away from our traditional values that we got it from the church. I don't go to church, but a lot of that stuff we got from that. And that was also in the black community as well. And we had the same type of problems. and we still do, but it's like so much worse in the black community. And about the single mothers, and we talk about that in this country as well. And that's my dog pooping up by me. So I'm listening to this, and he basically said it was a net minus, because he talked about back then that black communities were getting together. They had their own stores and their own markets and stuff like that, and own jobs and that type of thing. And they want to make sure that they were going to be, taken care of, that because they weren't going to expect the white man to take care of them. There was no welfare in the 1950s. Okay, people had to take care of themselves, and their parents grew up during the Depression. There was no entitlement back then. You had to live. You had to work to live. You had to do what you had to do. Everybody now is that people on both sides, even white people and black people and Hispanic people, could you still stop that? Anyway, I'm sorry about that. Now they almost have this entitlement thing in their mind that everything should be given to them. And it happens on the white side as well. I'm not saying it's not. But, he was talking about the protests and everything like that. But even if you look back to what Martin Luther King, and he talked about this, that he kind of was beside or wanted some sort of reparations back. But over the years, we basically paid over trillions and trillions of dollars to the black community, and it really hasn't helped them too much. So when I'm talking about protests, and so if I had this conversation with like my son's black friends or whatever, and I brought this up, that what used to be there, that pit in my stomach, I can't talk about this, that white guilt, I can't talk about it. Well, I talk about it right now. But what I saw at the protest, is that the same thing? So, or is it what I saw right there is what I think it is? A lot of it is a bunch of, I've got to, get media on my side, or it's a part of intention whoring. And we already know that Antifa does that. I don't want the alt-right to do that. I think we have a claim. That claim is there is a such thing as white genocide that's going on. That it's important that the world saves people who have European heritage, and we should defend that. I don't mean we don't necessarily have to show to a place just to act like we're fighting, just because we're young and we have nothing else to fight for. This is like Tumblr feminism that just goes to the streets now, and I think we have it on both sides. And I don't want to be part of that. Maybe I'm too old to understand that. Maybe this is a new way to do it. I don't think anything's going to come out of this. I think that we're going to look like the bad guy. Whenever you see a woman get hit, 90% of men are going to defend the women, regardless of what she said on Facebook, saying that she's going there to hit Nazis. And the fact that she's somewhat attractive, even in her, I mean, if you're online, before she did all this stuff, she was very attractive. But even how she looks with the dreadlocks and all that, she's still an attractive female. And as somebody who's alt-right, you think that we lost somebody that could be somebody that could, preoccupy and have more white people and all that shit. Maybe that's racist by saying it, but our culture, our race is dying out, and that I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. I want to be able to have that conversation. And just going there to show up, just so we can fight, just to be on video, so all of us have phones to take pictures of it and say we won the battle because what? They left away. We haven't won anything. The Marxists run media right now, and what we need to do is be smarter than them, and we have the smart people on our side. So people like people like Millennial Wolves, Richard Spencer, Nathan, some of these guys. Yeah, I'm sure it was fun to run up there and hit people. Maybe that was your animal urges and all that, but it was just funny because, and this is going back to Southern again, all the white knights were around her to make sure nothing would happen to her. I guess that's a good thing. And she has, I guess, I give her kudos for being in these areas. She's been places where I would never go, where refugees have been and all that thing. So, again, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. Please let me know in the comments. Or do you think that maybe it's that white guilt that's still there? And it's so embedded in me that I've taken a lot of off. and I will not apologize anymore. And before I leave, just one last thing. I got a little conversation on Twitter today about the Holocaust again, and this is another area that I'm not going to back down from. Again, I was not part of the conversation at first, but somebody said something to a guy I follow who used to be an atheist, now he's a Christian. He's also a men's rights activist. And somebody was responding to him, and he talked about how bad the Holocaust was and how the families still have to deal with it now. And I said, I don't know exactly what my response was, but it was more, I didn't say like the Holocaust was denied. Well, actually, he was saying in his thing that to those people that deny the Holocaust, even though they have to go through all, these families have to still go through this because people deny it. And I responded, I said, I don't deny the fact that thousands of people were killed under Nazi rule in intern camps, but I don't believe, my skeptic mind does not believe their story. And then he went back and responded to me and saying, do you believe it? So did you deny that millions of people died in the camps? And I said something up to the point like, no, yeah, I believe that people died, most of it from starvation, disease, and Twitter is not really the best place to talk about it. My issue is, I think that people in Germany and Europe and Canada should be able to talk about this, and we should not just believe the narrative that was formed by Jewish people 30 years after the event, saying that, yeah, this is what happened, and it's cost all the shit that's happened since, and the white guilt that we all have because of it, because we're Europeans. Of course, not everybody on who watches this is Europeans, okay? But, and it's used, and it's just so indented into people in Europe, people in Germany, people with German heritage like myself, French heritage like myself. They can't even talk about it, or if they do anything that isn't 100% behind the narrative that we are being fed, then they go to jail for it, or their livelihood can be done. He never responded to that, my response, so maybe he understands where I'm coming from, or maybe he believes in free speech, and so I won't apologize for that either. I will not. I believe that what Hitler did was wrong by interring people, just like we did with the Japanese. We probably shouldn't have done it. But do I believe that 6 million people were burned in furnaces? No. No. There's just engineering, it's not possible. And of course, they've also already taken 3 or 4 million off of that amount right now, but you can't even talk about that in those areas. You can't. You'll go to jail for it. If we write a book about it and say we found this thing out, you can't. So it's just stupid. So my white guilt doesn't go there. So maybe it's something more. So just let me know in the comments what you think. If you felt, those who are supporters of the alt-right, if you thought it was a great thing, that it was good that this happened, that we had a little fight there with a bunch of people who don't really have anything to do with their lives, so they go down there and fight, whatever. Or do you think that really isn't the area to go? Again, we should obviously defend free speech and defend our beliefs as far as saving the white culture or Western values or whatever you want to call it on the alt-right. Gavin, whether you want to be a Western chauvinist or you want to be somebody that wants to save white people, it doesn't matter. We're all doing the same thing, hopefully. So if you have any comments, let me know. We'll talk about it in the comments down low. I'll try to put Nathan Drake's thing down low so you guys can watch it and subscribe to him. He's very good. It's a different way, and I think another smart way to get the alt-right information out there in a more of an unconfrontational type of way. He lets the other people say what they got to say, and he just makes the videos of it, or the cartoon, or whatever you want to call it, illustration of it. And it's a good way to do it, and great people like millennials and all that, and how they do it. I think that's the right way to go. Anyway, you guys have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.